Hey guys, it's Chris Lewitt here, top high performance coach and coach to many #1 juniors in the US. On this video, I'm going to talk to you about the slice versus the kick, how to avoid slicing your kick serve, which is a very common problem. And I'm also going to give you some good kick serve expert tips along the way. So join me. Okay, so a common problem on the kick serve is that players will come around the ball and they'll slice too much. And there's a number of different reasons that happens. A lot of times the shoulders will open up too early, and that's very common. So one of the keys to the kick, anytime you're hitting a kick serve, is staying very sideways. As you go to strike the ball, you keep a very sideways position, and I usually exaggerate that position with my students. As they go to hit the kick, I have them stay very sideways and keep their chest facing the side wall or the side fence. So it's an exaggeration, but it's very helpful, because probably the biggest problem on a kick serve is that the shoulders were open too much. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. When players go to serve a kick, they'll open their shoulders and they'll lose a lot of the kick action, and you can't get any twist that way either. Twist is when you make the ball jump from left to right. There's three types of kick serves that I have made videos about, and I can share with you guys. We'll be doing more videos about that as well. So there's three types of kick serves. There's a kick slice, which I sometimes call a slick serve. And there's a true topspin, which is just a straight topspin bounce. It goes directly on the geometric line towards your target. And then there's a twist, sometimes it's called an American twist, historically, and that serve bounces to the right, so it twists out to the right. The slice kick twists to curves to the left. The American twist curves to the right, and then there's just like a straight topspin. So there's like three variations of kick serves at the advanced level that I teach to my students, and it's important to understand that, because then you can kind of see what's going on with the serve. The last one I did, I demonstrated this very common problem where the shoulders open up. So you go to hit the serve, and then the shoulders open, and then what happens is the racket gets in this more vertical position here, and you end up cutting around the ball, and more or less, or cutting across the ball to be more precise, and that creates more of a slice action. But it's a slice, generally it's a slice with topspin, and not to get too complicated, but there's two types of slice serves. There's a fast, low skidding slice, and then there's a topspin slice. So I'm talking about the topspin slice variation. So when you're working on your kick serve, which is a very, very difficult serve to learn, it's best to stay sideways with your body as you go to brush, and that creates this better trajectory and racket path. The racket stays sideways here, and you can brush up and out rather than opening and brushing more across the edge of the ball, creating the slice. So when you're doing a kick, try to stay more sideways. Show you that. Stay more sideways here, and you make the impact it'll help you make the impact more from the approach to the ball, more from left to right. I'll just show you that kick serve so you can see how it looks when you get the body sideways. So as I'm going to strike the ball, as I'm exploding, that's not in this position here where you're sideways from the start. Everybody's got to get sideways from the start. It's as you strike the ball that you have to stay sideways as you're accelerating up and out, as you're making a good tricep extension and upward lift of the racket. You have to stay sideways. So be careful, don't open this way. That will create a slice topspin serve. Let me show you from this angle the incorrect way of opening up your shoulders. It's going to be a little more of a slice action. Okay, so that would be the common mistake on a kick serve. I opened my shoulders and the ball curved more left, had more side spin, and the ball didn't jump up as much. Now I'm going to show you where I really force my body sideways. And I'm going to try to toss more behind my head, more to the left. Okay, I don't know if you couldn't see the result there, but that one, I let the ball drop a little bit, but it had a really nice American twist. The ball jumped out to the right and the ball was right in the corner of the service box. I'll try one more. Okay, that one had a little, okay, not bad. Try to stay super sideways, show you guys. Okay, that was right in the corner. All right, so let's talk about the toss. So that's probably the other biggest reason why you might not be able to hit a good kick serve, where you might be slicing your kick serve, which is like as I said, a very common problem, is most people toss much too far to the right. They don't put the toss enough behind them. It is not impossible, but it's difficult to hit a good kick serve with a neutral toss here at 12 o'clock. So again, if you imagine this big clock here, and you have basically my head in the center of the clock, if I toss right in front of my head here, it's gonna be hard to learn a good kick. You can do it, advanced players can get under that and hit a nice kick off of that toss, but it's just so much easier to learn. And in my experience, I've taught kick serves to hundreds and hundreds of top national ranked juniors and sometimes serious competitive adults. And it's just much easier to toss the ball behind your back here. Don't go too far to the extreme because you don't want to put pressure on your lower back. And this is an important safety tip, is make sure that you do not bend your lower back. There should be no lumbar extension, which is the anatomical term for it. You can bend your back in the cervical spine and the thoracic spine, which is the upper portions of your spine, but you do not want to bow out your back and put pressure on your lower back because there's a risk of a stress fracture in that area of the back particularly. And that's a very common injury for tennis players. A lot of young tennis players get hurt because they're trying to learn a kick serve. Adults get hurt too. They toss the ball too extreme to the left, so they're tossing the ball past 11 o'clock, so not between 11 and 12, but to 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then they're thrusting out their hips, their pelvis, and they're pushing out their belly button and really putting a lot of strain on the lower back. There's a high load to the lower back. The key to hitting a great kick serve safely is to arch your upper back, which is your cervical spine, which is behind your neck, the upper part of the spine, which is very flexible. And also somewhat, depending on your range of motion, to extend your thoracic spine here. So that's an important pro tip for the kick service. You have to be very careful not to bend too much in the lower back, and you want to keep the bend in the upper portion of the spine for safety. So if you work on this at home, if you're working on this on the court or with a friend, make sure you're being very careful. That's very common that players will do this kind of thing. If you start to do this, I've had some students do this very aggressively, and over time that can lead to a stress fracture in your lower back. It's a very serious condition actually, and it can put you out for many months off the tennis court. So you want to toss very sensibly behind your head, and that will help you avoid slicing. The more I toss to the left, it's harder to come around and slice the ball. It is still possible, you still can slice from back here, but it's not easy. So from back in this position, it makes it less likely that I'm going to slice the ball. If I toss the ball out this way towards 1 o'clock or between 12 and 1, again, my head is here, kind of in the center, and then between 12 and 1, it's going to be much more likely that I slice the ball. So check out my toss location here, and I'll show you the two variations. You have the toss, if I toss incorrectly for a kick, between 12 and 1. Show you what that looks like. That was a really good example. That was not a kick serve or a very, very little kick on that, and it's mostly a slice topspin. That was more like a slick serve out wide. And I'll show you the difference. If I toss behind me, it's gonna change the way my racket approaches up to the ball. And if you combine that with the first concept that we talked about, staying sideways, you'll get a much better kick action, and you can maybe even get that elusive American twist. American twist is when you spin the ball and it goes that way to the right. So it's the opposite of a slice. American twist is like the counterpoint to a slice. It's on the opposite end of a slice. And sometimes if you catch the ball just right and you brush from 7 to 2 and your swing path is 7 to 2, you can get that elusive American twist, which is very difficult to get. Even some advanced players, even some pros on the tour don't get a lot of American twist on their serve. But just check my toss location. I'll try to put one to the left of, to the left of my head, and it'll really help to avoid getting any kind of slice on your kick. Yeah, right there, it's pretty good. Okay. If I toss there, it's going to be it's going to help cure that slice. But you got to really spend a lot of time on it, because a lot of people, they get in the habit of tossing, right there, and a lot of people don't feel comfortable tossing behind them. It feels awkward, and they can start to lose their balance. So that's another thing to watch out for. Oh, there's an example where I went maybe a little farther than 11, and I would try to stay between 11 and 12. Okay, so just to recap, we talked about the shoulder position, so important to cure the slice from a kick. You don't want to open your shoulder, so do not go here. Don't rotate this way, and don't cut this way. See how I'm swinging? Kind of imagine, just as a visual, 5 to 1 here. Don't want to swing this way. Get a good slice this way. I want to swing from 7 back here behind my body, 7 to 2. And I want to stay sideways in conjunction with that. Stay sideways in conjunction with that toss behind me. I don't want to toss right. If I toss right, there's a good chance my shoulders will open up, and I'll cut the right edge of the ball up here. If I toss left back here, I can force my body sideways, lock my shoulder in, and get a really good upward tricep extension and shoulder lifting the racket to the ball. And I can get, hopefully, if possible, a 6 to 12 brush or a 7 to 2 brush and get a really nice kick there. Okay guys, I really enjoyed sharing with you some of my ideas about the slice versus the kick. You got to be really careful. You don't want to slice your kick. You want to kick your kick. Remember, there are 3 types of kicks. There's an American twist, which is the hardest one to get, the most advanced. There's a straight topspin, and there's a slick. So sometimes a slick serve might be warranted. For example, you play a lefty and you want to slick your serve on purpose. You want to curve it to the left. But typically, you do not want to slice your kick serve. So remember, we talked about the 2 most important things: toss location, staying sideways with your shoulders, learning a good shoulder control. Those are 2 very, very common mistakes that players of all levels, whether you're a junior, whether you're a club player, like an adult player, or competitive player, very, very common. So you got to get your toss a little bit to the left, and you got to work really hard not to let your shoulders rotate. Very, very common. The shoulders want to rotate, and you have to fight that rotation by staying sideways with your body as you're accelerating, not sideways in the beginning. Everybody's got to get sideways in the beginning. It's as you're going up to attack the ball, and as you drive your legs, that's when you really got to keep that sideways position. One other note, just be very, very careful. Do not toss too far to the back. Do not bend at the waist. Do not push your hips out. Do not push your belly button out. It's very dangerous for the lower back. You have to keep the lower back secure and work on thoracic and cervical extension. So guys, I hope you appreciated that. This discussion about the slice versus the kick. And could you please leave me a comment? Let me know any questions you have. I'll be happy to answer. I will answer personally. And could you please leave a like and consider subscribing to this channel? We appreciate your support. Thank you.